If the senator does win the Democratic nomination, still not likely, that would be a GOP dream. America will never go socialist.
How many socialists we got out there today? Come on, let's see a show of left hand. You drive here on a public street? Socialist. You go to a public school?
Yes.
Socialist. You ever visit a public library? Why? I'll tell you why, because you're a socialist. Like Ulysses S. Grant, Yellowstone National Park. You ever been there? Yeah, you're a socialist. Like Teddy Pinko Roosevelt. That guy was talking about universal health care. You're taxating, appropriating, regulating, nanny state and socialist. You ever mail a letter? Of course you have, because you're a socialist. Like Dwight D. Eisenhower. He built highways between the states. Yeah, you're a socialist. Like Richard Red Diaper Nixon. He put food stamps on people's plates. You're taxating, appropriating, regulating, nanny state and socialist. Does it take to screw in a light bulb? Too many. 4 to requisition the light bulb. 4 more to process the requisition certificate. 8 to manufacture the light bulb. 3 to supervise the manufacturing and procurement process. 7 to warehouse the light bulb for an indeterminate length of time. 4 to deliver the light bulb to the wrong address. 4 more to redeliver the light bulb, 6 to receive the light bulb, and 1 to screw it up. 47. How many capitalists does it take to screw in a light bulb? 2. 1 impoverished nation willing to exploit its malnourished population and rape its natural resources to manufacture, package, and ship the light bulb to Walmart. You know why that's funny? Because you're a socialist. Like Ronald W. Reagan. Earned income tax credit. Yeah, you're a socialist. Like George W. USSR Bush. That guy wrote the book on government interference. Of course, he never read it. Yeah, you're taxating, appropriating, regulating, nanny stating, Stalin hugging, Castro kissing, Marx filleting, spawn of Satan. Ever that's funny? Now, 2 days after 9/11, 9/13 for the record. Were you watching the 700 Club? Did you miss it that day? As skeptics, you got to check out on that show. That was the day that Jerry Falwell was a guest on the show. It's Pat Robertson's show. I don't think he was leg pressing 2,000 pounds that day, but Jerry Falwell was doing some heavy intellectual lifting, and he was saying that that surely some of the blame for this incident must fall on the ACLU. And gays and lesbians and feminists, abortionists, pagans, people for the American way. And I wanted to call in and say that was out loud. Did you know that?
Jerry Falwell's God was standing by the elevator while we were talking about the party, so we had to invite him. And secretly, we were wishing that he wouldn't come because he's vengeful and jealous and he tends to smite people. And of course, he knew we were thinking that. Made him all the more determined to show up and punish us. And I wanted to invite my God, but he was at the beach. Jerry Falwell's God is everywhere. The robe and the beard down to here and the gossamer wings and the button that says, "What would Jesus do?" Sure enough, the day of the party, there he was at the door. And he spaketh he, saying, "I am come." Yeah, I know there's a joke there, but Jerry Falwell's God will not be mocked. So I said, you know, come in. Jerry Falwell's God. Jerry Falwell's God. Now, I'm no heavenly host, but I throw a decent party. And there were all kind of people there, black, white, Swedish, Norwegian, the entire human spectrum. And right away, Jerry Falwell's God found the two people who would listen to him and began spaking in a voice so loud that a guy from the bowling alley came over and asked us would we keep it down. And he turned the loaves to fishes. And the Oreos to Hydrox. And he made the lame to walk. And, you know, these were my friends, so they were still lame, but they could walk. And he divided up the room, divided he, saying, gays here, lesbians here, feminists, pagans, abortionists, people for the American way. And frankly, some of us did not know where to stand. I went with the lesbians. His huge finger at each group in turn, saying, I blame you and you and you who have secularized society and cast me out of the town square. And I thought, man, you are the town square. And he said, lo, the end days are here and the judgment is nigh, where I will draw the faithful to heaven and leave the unrepentant to walk a desolate earth. I know, strict. And he began to rain toads and spit fire, and he brought forth 7 bowls and 7 plagues. And finally I said, listen, I'll tell you one thing Jesus would not do. Jesus would not wreck a guy's party. And Jesus would not preach hate. Jesus would not stand in the rubble and say, I told you so. Jesus would not use an international catastrophe to score points for some narrow, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, homophobic interpretation of his life and teachings. And if people are vengeful and jealous and violent, maybe it's because you created them and you're in it. If people have cast you out of the town square, maybe it's because you're a finger-pointing, moralizing, rageaholic stone drag who gives deities a bad name. And if people have turned away from your word, maybe it's because you got spinach in your teeth. And he smote me. Jerry Falwell's God. Jerry Falwell's God. Huh.
We ring this bell 3 times. The first is to call us into relationship with those to whom we owe a debt, our forebears who preceded us here and once occupied this land most of us now call home. The second calls us into relationship with ourselves and one another, that we learn to grow wisdom and compassion and share it generously. And the third calls us into relationship with our children's children, out to the 7th generation, helping us to realize that what we do now will be felt by those who come after us. I'm delighted to welcome our guest worship leader for today, Roy Zimmerman, to welcome him to our Mission Peak UU congregation. I'll use words written by Reverend Greg Ward to describe Roy and his work. Roy Zimmerman is a musical, social satirist extraordinaire, whose signature blend of heart and hilarity is so on point you'll be laughing, smiling, nodding your head, and clapping your hands. Roy's songs have been heard on HBO and Showtime. He has shared the stage with musical and comedic luminaries like Robin Williams, Ellen DeGeneres, Arlo Guthrie, Bill Maher, Holly Near, John Oliver, George Carlin, and others. Joni Mitchell says, Roy's lyrics move beyond poetry and achieve perfection. His videos have garnered hundreds of millions of views. Today's service will be a musical social commentary led by Roy. We begin with the call to worship.
Thanks so much. Good morning, everybody. And thanks to Reverend Greg in absentia for those wonderful words. Most of them are true, so that's a benefit there. Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears, while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days have you lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. As we seek mirth and beauty and music bright and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading eyes will say, oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days have you lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. It's a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times come again no more. You've heard the chorus a couple of times. If you'd like to join in, please do. It's a song, it's a sigh of the weary. It's a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days have you lingered, many days have you lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Thank you, Roy. Good morning, y'all. I do know that I can take my mask off, but I'm choosing to keep it on. So again, good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Mission Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Terry King, and I'm a member of the board. And we are so glad you've joined us this morning. Unitarian Universalism is a radically inclusive, non-doctrinal, non-dogmatic, open-minded, and open-hearted faith. We are people who are all coming at truth from different paths. We gather together across different identities, experiences, and beliefs to affirm and promote the inherent worth of every person. Together, we see our job is to love the hate out of the world, heal the hurt in ourselves and one another, and be the change that we'd like to see in the world. Now, we use the chat feature in Zoom or our Joys and Concerns book, which is over there by the door, to share joys and concerns, which are our personal milestones of importance that will be read aloud in the service. Maybe you are here for the first time. If that's the case, special welcome. We've been reaching out and asking people to bring their friends because we think the world, especially now, needs some friendly places to gather and find encouragement and hope. We have social hour after the service where we get to visit with one another, either in breakout rooms on Zoom or on the patio. The worship host will give you more information about this immediately after the service. In the meantime, we're putting a link to our weekly newsletter in the chat so you can see all the events that are coming up. We invite you to join anything that speaks to you. We'll also put our welcome email address, which is welcome@mpuuc.org, in the chat so that you can use it to request a newsletter or other information be sent to you. There are a few things we'd especially like to call your attention to. In-person attendees should be masked inside and outside of Cole Hall during the service. Because vaccinated people can still spread COVID to others, we strongly encourage those in contact with children and unvaccinated or immunocompromised adults to attend services outside or via Zoom. We allow, but don't require, worship leaders, associates, and other service participants to be unmasked while speaking if they voluntarily disclose that they are vaccinated and are 10 feet apart from others who are not fully vaccinated. More information on our COVID policies is on the bulletin board to your left and in This Week on the Peak. Reminder, please silence your electronic devices. Another acknowledgement that life can be hard. So if you are in search of mental health family support or peer support resources in the larger Tri-City areas, know that we have a wonderful resource right within our community. You can contact our own Reverend Barbara Myers. She is a mental health educator and peer support provider, and she might be able to help you identify some activities or sources of help. Her email and phone number are in your order of service. Also, I'd like to invite you to a brief prayer service, which will be over Zoom, this Thursday, July 14th at 7:30. This will be in support of Sergio, the asylum seeker that we are accompanying, and he is finally having his hearing, his day in court, on Friday. So we welcome you to join the prayer service in support of him. Contact Meredith Miller or check the Week on the Peak if you want more information. Now, if you hear or see something in this morning's service that inspires you, or if it makes you laugh or brings you hope, please tweet it, share it on social media, or just tell a friend. We really are trying to start a wave of love and justice every time we gather. Whether you are attending in person or virtually, we are so happy you are with us today. Thank you for joining us.
This is hymn number 1046 in the Teal hymnal, Shall We Gather at the River. Everybody join me if you would. Shall we gather at the river, where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. I do political satire, which is frankly getting harder and harder, because the whole idea with satire is that you take the point of view that you disagree with most vehemently and you stretch it beyond absurdity. And that's just what's happening. It's impossible to be more absurd than what is happening. And I'm all about bringing people together. That's why I do this work, is to bring people together. Liberals and conservatives, black, white, gay, straight, Unitarians and Universalists. And bringing people together with the healing power of ridicule. And it's a big, big country, with all kinds of people, but there's one thing we can all agree on. And when I find out what it is, I'll let you know. But sometimes I think that it's singing. Singing can bring us all together. So why don't you sing with me now, verse 2 of Shall We Gather at the River. Here we go. On the margin of the river, washing up its silver spray, we will walk and worship ever all the happy golden day. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. And I did a show in Arlington, Texas. This is now 15 years ago or so. Arlington, Texas is not known as a hotbed of progressivism, certainly. And it was a show that was sponsored by the Free Thinkers of Arlington, sort of the atheist club of Arlington, at a local bar there. There were, a bunch of the atheists kind of gathered in the center of the bar. But the rest of the bar was open to the public, people, the locals, people who weren't necessarily expecting hippy-dippy satire from San Francisco that night. And I was doing songs about creation science and abstinence-only sex education. And there was one guy in particular who was getting more and more agitated as I was going along. I was getting one-finger salutes from the back of the bar and so forth, but this guy was pacing up and down. And finally, when I did a song about the chicken hawks who brought us the war in Iraq, these people who never served themselves but were happy to send our sons and daughters, this guy had it. And he jumped up on stage with me and he yanked the cord out of my guitar and he got right in my face and said, "This is over." And fortunately, one of the free thinkers, a big strapping young guy from the front row, jumped right up and took that guy right to the back wall before I could even subdue him with cleverness that quickly. And then the manager of the place jumped up on stage, and a couple of the other free thinkers jumped up, and the owner of the place jumped up. There was like a little scrum of people on stage, and I was just there going like, "Hey, I just want to bring people together." So let's come together right now, and we're going to sing verse 3 all together of "Shall We Gather at the River." Here we go. Ere we reach the shining river, lay we every burden down. Grace our spirits will deliver and provide a thorn and crown. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. And they finally got that guy off stage, ejected him from the club. He'd been a troublemaker already, I came to understand. And I tried to continue that show, but by that time things were kind of topsy-turvy in the club. There were a lot of little conversations going on between free thinkers and some of the locals, and I found myself just strumming a big fat C chord just to introduce a note of peace in the room. Just a big fat C chord over and over again like this, and then I found myself singing "Shall We Gather at the River," which I remembered from my days in the cult of Lutheranism, which is ironic, I thought, because I'm singing for the free thinkers, that flows by the throne of God. But I thought about that river. This is the river of life as described in Revelations that flows down the middle of the great street of the city and nourishes the tree of life that grows on both sides of the river. And I thought about all the people gathered on this side of the river. And maybe that's what brings us all together, is that here we are. We're all on this side of the river. You can't deny that. We're all right here, and maybe if we sing together, we can all come together too. So, as we approach verse 4 now of "Shall We Gather at the River," I want you to think about all the people who you disagree with most vehemently. All the people whose opinions, loud as they may be, want to make you put an ice pick between your eyes. This is really you people whose opinions you cannot stand, and think about gathering with them on this side of the river. And if it bothers you to sing "The flows by the throne of God," or if that's not part of your belief system, you can sing "That flows through the green, green sod," because that's just as true, isn't it? Here we go with verse 4. Yeah, soon we'll reach the shining river. Soon soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God, that flows by the throne of God.
Please join me in reciting these words which call us together as a community and with Unitarian Universalists all across the globe. We light this chalice to remind ourselves to treat all people kindly because we are all one family, to take good care of the earth because it is our home, to live lives full of goodness and love because that is how we will become the best people we can be.
In this time for all ages, I've chosen to read a poem. This is I had the pleasure of sharing a bill in Oklahoma City with a amazing performing poet by the name of Lauren Zuniga. And Lauren, you know, has written a poem called "To the Oklahoma Progressives Contemplating Mass Exodus." Certainly applies now, these years later, as things are so divided in this country. There is a sick pit in your stomach, a plantation in your front yard, the static flicker of black and white, an absurd talking picture where sepia skin is now villain. You are not sure who to trust anymore. Everyone walks backward in your neighborhood. You are surrounded by billboards with hate-sized font. You're looking for a secret handshake, a fish with feet drawn in the sand, blue paint on a doorframe. You resent even the dirt for being so damn red. At night, you are a furious search engine screaming down the track towards some kind of Shangri-La. Portland has no jobs. Canada doesn't want you. You hear property is cheap in Costa Rica. Even Cuba seems safer than your next PTA meeting. Anywhere is better than here, but here is home. Here's where you chose to raise your kids, because the people are so friendly. Do not let them drive you away. Here's where you are needed most. Here's where the sunset stretches its arms wide as forgiveness across the stolen plains. Here's where Clara Looper sat down at Kat's lunch counter and asked to be served. Here is where black and white soldiers fought alongside each other for the first time. Where Kate Barnard was elected before she could even vote. Where hippies squatted in Paseo until it became an art district. Here is where Charlie Christian learned guitar, where Wayne Coyne keeps the bubble, where Woodrow Wilson Guthrie played the harmonica for sandwiches. Here is where the healing has to take place. Tell them, you are not moving. Oklahoma is worth the wait. Sometimes evolution feels like the stinging cramp in the back of your knees when you grow too fast for your outdated bones.
Sometimes it feels like a house in the city with 3 goats, 10 chickens, and 12 wild kids. Tear up the sidewalk, plant a garden, bake a squash casserole, and invite all your terrified neighbors over. Fill out all government forms in Espanol. Check all the boxes for your race. Ride your bike to work. Make art in the streets. Feed people without a license. Go to city council meetings. Sit in on state, house, and senate. Wear a purple boa. Don't apologize for your presence. Write love letters to mothers and fathers in prison. To the wardens, to police officers, to judges. Write love letters to queer kids and their bullies. Tell them you are staying here for them. Kiss a Republican on the cheek. Show them how to love someone you don't understand. Do something with that tight fist, that broken heart, that liberal mouth. Progress is a series of small, bold moves. Don't leave. Here is where we need you.
Hello, today I'm going to introduce a special collection to forge a relationship with our local Indigenous peoples group. The present-day Muwekma Ohlone tribe is comprised of all of the known surviving American Indian lineages aboriginal to the San Francisco Bay region, who trace their ancestry through the missions San Jose, Santa Clara, and San Francisco, and who were members of the historic federally recognized Verona brand of Alameda County. The Aboriginal homeland of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe includes the following counties: Alameda, Contra Costa, and portions of Napa, San Francisco, San Mateo, most of Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Solano, and San Joaquin. This large contiguous geographical area, which historically cross-cuts several major linguistic and tribal boundaries, fell under the sphere of influence of the aforementioned 3 missions between 1776 and 1836. The missionized policies deployed by the Catholic Church and militarily supported by the Hispanic Empire brought many distantly related, and in some cases, already intermarried tribal groups together at the missions. The Mission Peak Arrow team has corresponded with a group of Native Ohlone cultural historians of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe about creating a land acknowledgement that we can use in our worship services and other events. They have agreed to create a land acknowledgement for us to use, and they sent us a greeting and document with many details of their history. Their greeting says, "We are Muwekma Ohlone. Welcome to our ancestral homeland. Welcome Mission Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation, the city of Fremont and the surrounding towns located within the intermarried Alsan, Thamian Ohlone, and Tuiban Churchenchio Ohlone ancestral Muwekma Ohlone territory. We are honored to share with you information about our 12,000-year history and heritage of our tribe from within our ancestral homeland of the greater San Francisco Bay Area, and welcome the members and clergy and citizens of Mission Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation and the city of Fremont in developing a mutually beneficial partnership within the Muwekma Ohlone tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area." Let me share you an image that they sent us. So here we go. They explain that they are in the process of getting federally acknowledged status for their tribe. And here's how they explain some of the things that they are doing to keep their culture alive. Since the 1960s, our enrolled families have been involved in the protection of our ancestral Ohlone Indian Cemetery. That's just up Washington Boulevard, very close to where Mission Peaks meets in Cole Hall, as well as the hundreds of our ancestral heritage sites. Since the 1980s, our tribal leadership and members have been involved in numerous environmental, educational, and cultural events at public and private schools, universities, and colleges. Our Tribal Language Committee has been pursuing renaming our ancestral heritage sites and other places of importance to our tribe, such as Coyote Hills and our ancestral mortuary sites in Sunol and elsewhere. Our tribe has been involved in various Earth Day celebrations since the mid-1980s, especially with the Environmental Science Department at San Jose State University. And tribal members have participated in coast and creek cleanup events over many years. The tribal leadership and members are working with the native plant societies and gardens throughout the Bay Area, as well as part of our collective education and revitalization of native species and plants and their traditional uses. Our tribal members have been involved in the 500-mile American Indian spiritual run since 1980 and has hosted and supported the Peace and Dignity Native American Spirit Runners from Alaska to Panama. Move to a new image. We have continuously sponsored since 2006 the American Indian Heritage Celebration with the Indian Health Center of Santa Clara County. The tribe's leadership have also revitalized our traditional dances and songs, which were exported to neighboring Coast Miwok, Plains Miwok, and Maidu tribal groups during the 1870s and later years. Mission Peak UU would like to help compensate them for their work with us and to support their efforts to keep their culture alive. That's the purpose of this special collection today. Thank you for your generosity.
We take up a collection on Sundays for the simple reason that our purpose in gathering is for more than ourselves. We want to make sure that the ministries that we need, the ones that infuse worth and dignity into our children, our youth, our programs of learning and leadership, and our ministries of anti-oppression and our work in the larger world, are in place to meet the needs of others. Today, our offering will be a contribution to the Miwok Ohlone tribe. We hope you will make a contribution toward this worthy cause by mailing your check to Mission Peak UU congregation at the address on the screen. Please indicate the Miwokma donation as opposed to a pledge donation. You can also use the bill pay option in your online banking or drop your check in the Mission Peak mail slot, or pay online with a credit or debit card. Choose special donation and put Miwokma in the message. Otherwise, your contribution today will be for the Miwokma Ohlone tribe. Thank you for supporting and sustaining these friends and neighbors in their causes. One of the things that allows us to find hope and meaning especially in hard times, is the love and support we show one another. If you have a joy or concern that by sharing with this caring community might bring the encouragement or resilience you're needing, please write it briefly now in the chat or in the book by the welcome table in Cole Hall. Please indicate, first of all, who is speaking this? Second of all, is it a joy or a concern? And thirdly, state it in 1 to 2 sentences, please. If you're here in person and would like to place a stone for a joy or a concern, you may do so while the music plays. If your need is personal, you can also send an email to our community minister, Reverend Barbara Myers, for a follow-up conversation. Again, many thanks to Roy. Finally, we place one last stone for the hopes and hurts still too tender to escape our heart. May we, for the sake of love, keep our doors, our hearts, our minds, and our arms open. Today's reading is a definition of the word satire, and it comes from dictionary.com. I might note that this definition runs at least 6 paragraphs, but I will give you the shortened first paragraph version today. There's a lot to say about satire. Satire, see irony, burlesque, caricature, parody, travesty, lampoon. It is a form of commentary in which vices or follies are ridiculed. Satire often emphasizes the weakness of a system to tolerate bad behavior rather than the weak person being bad. Satire usually implies moral judgment and corrective purpose.
Corrective purpose. Wow. I'm a corrections officer, all of us. I do believe that satire is the best is the best way sometimes to deal with social change, right? Because by pointing out these absurdities, you've done it in a humorous way, and it's an invitation to people who may not agree with you to begin with, to begin a conversation at least about it, without being sick. Because, for instance, some people eat chicken with their fingers. Some people use a fork and a knife. Some people are sucking on a silver spoon and never ate a chicken in their life. Some people look better in the daytime. Some look better at night. But everybody loves, everybody hurts, everybody has a touch of Weltschmerz. Everybody laughs, everybody sneezes, everybody fries, and everybody freezes. Everybody is everybody else. Some people want a guarantee of freedom. Some people want to take one away. Some say we the people, that's the government. And some say the government they. Some people are walking on the left wing. Some are sliding off the right. But everybody loves, everybody hurts, everybody has a touch of Weltschmerz. Everybody laughs, everybody sneezes, everybody fries, and everybody freezes. Everybody is everybody else, and everybody everywhere, lesser and greater, has a common denominator. Some people look up and see the ceiling. Some people look up and see God. Some people look forward to a paradise. Some are looking forward to the sod. A lot of people looking for enlightenment. Some are just trying to find the light. But everybody loves, everybody hurts, everybody has a touch of Weltschmerz. Everybody cries, everybody freezes, everybody falls, and everybody freezes, and everybody sleeps, everybody breathes, everybody starts with no teeth and teeths, everybody eats, everybody cries, and identifies with the good guys, and everybody's bad, everybody's good, everybody wants to be understood, everybody falls, everybody rises. Everybody on some level realizes that everybody is everybody else. Everybody, absolutely everybody is everybody else. I write a lot of these songs with my wife. We co-write everywhere we go. Melanie Harvey is her name, and we've traveled all over the country. Played a lot of Unitarian churches, that's for sure. And it's a great place to find what we call blue dots. These are the most progressive people in some of the least progressive places in the country, and people who are concerned with doing social justice work, where sometimes it's not easy to do. So I've admired people's courage across the country and the courage of congregations, whole congregations across the country, to do that as well. Especially in this time when religious freedom is under fire. Certainly, with the most recent Supreme Court rulings and all that too. You know that we have to watch out for our religious freedom. And while we traveled, Melanie and I wrote this song about the history of religious freedom in this country. Back when the pilgrims landed on these rocks, they thanked the Lord and they rang out their socks. They were escaping those religious tyrannies, so they said, geez, let us worship as we please. They knew the strictures of their scriptures would never fail them, and so they started lighting fires on the pyres in Salem. Freedom to oppress,
in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Y'all know the story of the first Thanksgiving. Historical origins of Martha Stewart living. They feasted with the Wampanoag on that shore, and then wiped out the Pequot in the Pequot War. They knew God sent them to this Eden among the heathen, to say, convert to our dear Lord, or you won't be breathing. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Then all the colonies said, what the hell? We don't need a king, let's ring the Liberty Bell. All men are equal, no one's lesser or greater, and we're endowed with certain rights by our Creator. And that was sweet, but what made liberty even sweeter was they could still own slaves according to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, 2 Kings, and 1 Peter. So we the people formed a nation, and the birth bill of rights ensures I'm free to practice my religion, and you're free to practice mine. Ain't that divine? Slavery opened up a national wound. Much blood was spilled before the Union reuned. They saved the nation in that Civil War. Our fathers brought 7 years before. And some were certain they could hear the Almighty saying, don't mix the races, segregate and start KKKing. Freedom, freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Freedom to persecute in a biblical pursuit. Religious freedom to burn. But separate is not equal, the Supreme Court found, and they struck all the segregation laws down. They found that marriage is a basic civil right. The law can't break into your bedroom late at night. Still some say we will not heed unelected judges. We know we're righteous and our bigotry never budges. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Our religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn, 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 burn our own witches. The other thing satire can do is provide some sort of context, right? A historical context or a social context, and maybe make you take a step back and look at it from a little bit more of a distance too. That was a historical song, certainly, and this next one is as well. This is maybe more historical than the last one because it goes back millions of years. And it's meant to address, our daily lives as progressive-minded people, walking around and sharing this country and this space with MAGA, with all the people and whose opinions I was referring to before, who we disagree with most violently, most vehemently. The ideological threat, because you want to reach out to people, you want to bring people together, you want to have Thanksgiving, for instance, every year, and with family members and all. So this is a song that maybe hopefully addresses some of that. You were born about 3.5 million years ago in a valley warm and fair near the equator. You had hair all over your feet and you grew to 3 or 4 feet. You were even taller generations later. 50,000 years ago, you left Africa, and you stayed 10,000 years in Central Asia, with no saddle and no stirrup. You walked all the way to Europe. So I'll see your race card, partner, and I'll raise ya. Rift Valley, where we left our mom and dad, drifted out across the world and messed it up real bad. We're all one family, no matter where we roam. Rift Valley drifters drifting home, genome by genome. Yeah, partner, if you're one of those grassroots socialists who hate socialism and just wants this country back, chances are you're of Western European heritage, a member of haplogroup R1b perhaps, with ancient brothers and sisters who have crossed over from China to Siberia to Alaska to open a casino in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And you can follow your tracks. Track yourself all the way back to the mitochondrial Eve, great 5,000 times great-grandmama of all 8+ billion of us. And if you do, partner, well, maybe then you'll stop acting like such a friggin' Neanderthal. Every Western boy and girl is descended from Mohammed. And the first real Americans were Russian, and then Indian. And Barack Obama's cousin is Dick Cheney. Well, now doesn't that make for an interesting town hall discussion? Rift Valley, where we left our mom and dad, drifted out across the world and messed it up real bad. We're all one dysfunctional family, no matter where we nomads roam. Rift Valley drifters drifting home, genome by genome. Take a look inside your genes, and partner, then you will see we've all got a birth certificate from Kenya.
Well, as I say, we traveled all over the country, and the question was, where do we find our hope? You know, where do we find hope? And I found it everywhere I went with these groups of blue dot people, these progressive groups doing this work, you know, huddled in Unitarian basements with their arms linked, you know, doing these work. In Oklahoma City, where I met Lauren Zuniga, and, you know, in Fargo, North Dakota, and Idaho Falls, and all these the least likely places, there are great groups of progressive people. And there is great hope in the work that they're doing. And so I'd like to finish up this little message with a song about some of these blue dot people who give me hope. I am the donut lady, I am the civil engineer, I am the tractor salesman who's a stand-up comic at his daughter's wedding. I am the court reporter, I am the guy in the sandwich suit, I am the third grade teacher, and I approve this message. I am the dental hygienist, I am the undertaker's son. I'll be the undertaker when the undertaker has been taken under. I am the tattoo addict, I am the runner-up Miss Maine, I am the ice cream vendor, and I approve this message. And I am John the Baptist, and I am Nancy the Presbyterian, I am Jerome the Jewish Unitarian, born-again Buddhist, Wiccan, agnostic. I am the tattoo addict, I am the NASCAR widow, I am the NASCAR widow, and I approve this message. I am the conspiracy theorist, and I know 5 other conspiracy theorists. What, you think that's a coincidence? I am the precinct walker, I am the polling place volunteer, I am the statistician, and 4 out of 5 of me approve this message. And I am Yip Harburg, saying it don't matter how high the throne, what sits on it is the same as your own. And I'm Molly Ivins, saying what's the difference, who's in that chair? Change doesn't come from there, change comes from here. I am the huddled masses, I am the amber waves of grain, I am the toothless carny in the shooting gallery at the county fair. I am the singer, songwriter, waitress, I am another mother for peace, I am the assistant scoutmaster, and I approve this message. And I am the White House switchboard operator, and I approve this message. And I am the last man to die for a mistake, and I approve this message. I am the dreamer who keeps on dreaming, and I approve this message. And I approve this message. And I approve this message. And I am. I am and we are, that's the thing. So important to articulate what we are. That's what Lauren's talking about in her poem as well, you know. So here's where they need us to keep talking about who we are and what we stand for. We are the people who work for justice. We are the people who hope for peace. And we are the people who fight for freedom. sometimes against overwhelming odds. As I transition to what we're calling a closing hymn, it's really another one of my songs, but I do invite you to sing along on the chorus, because the words are simple. The words are simply "Have mercy." You'll hear how they fall. They come down. In fact, I'll start with the chorus so you can learn it, and then when it comes around again, please do sing it with me. Here we go. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, mercy. If one stone was thrown at you, one for every stone you threw, how long would you stand with another stone in hand before you fell to your knees, crying, please? Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, mercy. Are you angry and afraid in the world of war you've made? Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, and no closer to the truth. What will it take for you to heed your own need? Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, mercy. All the words that you use to abuse and condemn say much more about you than they do about them. Tell me now, what did you do to be here, to be born you? Fear for fear, hate for hate, would you put it down to fate? If you were one of the least of these, saying please, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, mercy. Thanks for having me.
Please join with me in reciting these words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For the benediction, please rise and place a hand on your heart and extend your other hand. We, as members and friends of the Mission Peak UU congregation, need to use all our creativity as we support one another in our spiritual searching, our caring for each other, and in carrying out our ministries. It's important that we not forget that we can use our tools of music and humor and creativity as we communicate with each other and with the larger world. We all have different gifts to offer. Continue to look for and develop your gifts as you appreciate and marvel at those of others around you. Go in peace.